And we learned something very interesting today. According to the man who was in charge of the Buffalo FBI office back at that time, they were looking into Nagi back then. His name had come up then. Luke Moretti joins us now with more on that. Luke?
Yeah, Jackie, Peter Ahern remembers Nagi as a wannabe back then who wanted to be part of the Lackawanna Six, he says, but never got any traction. Arafat Nagi was on the radar of the Buffalo FBI office during the Lackawanna Six case, according to a former special agent in charge.
He was a wannabe. I mean, he wanted to be part of that group. He wanted to travel over to the camps. He did not make the original group that went over there, but apparently he was planning on going in the next group if he could raise the money to get the money to go over. But then what happened was 9/11, and that stopped a lot of that.
The Lackawanna Six was a group of men who traveled to Afghanistan to train with al-Qaeda before the 9/11 attacks. Peter Ahern, who now consults in the private sector, says because of his association with the group, Nagi was interviewed by the FBI back then.
He showed up on a lot of surveillances. We were tracking him because, at the time, Luke, we didn't know what we had early on.
Ahern says Nagi was on the radar as possibly being a problem, but in the end, no criminal charges were ever filed against him in that case.
He never spent any money. He never provided the material support. He never really was able to get traction.
But now Nagi finds himself in legal hot water. The government alleges that he attempted to provide material support and resources to the foreign terrorist organization known as ISIS. Ahern says he's surprised that Nagi didn't learn from the past.
This guy just didn't listen. He knows what we do. He knows how the FBI does it. And he continues to go about doing this so openly.
Ahern says his biggest concern these days is how technology changes faster than law enforcement can keep up with, specifically issues with encryption.